Just going to talk for a few minutes about alignment. I think it's a bit of a misconception that spirituality or spiritual awakening is all about becoming, it's all about love and light. Obviously that's where we'd love to get to, but there is a whole process around getting there, which involves dropping parts of ourselves, behaviours, habits, patterns, which aren't aligned with who we truly are. And that process that we are destined to go through isn't easy. It's not easy to break an energetic pattern, it's not easy to drop a behaviour, it's not easy to break an addiction, it's not easy to change habits of a lifetime. But all of this is necessary in order to reach our highest potential. So although a lot of spiritual practices are aimed or sold around creating more joy and freedom in our lives, actually there is a process alongside that where we let go of things which are not part of who we truly are. So if we think about addictions, for example, these are unconscious behaviours driving us to do something which is not beneficial and is actually harmful to ourselves in most cases. And it's not that easy to break the cycle because it's something that's done from such an unconscious place that the behaviour becomes automatic. But in order to ascend or increase our vibration more, addictions are things that we need to overcome. So there needs to be a process of becoming conscious of the behaviour around the addiction in order to bring it into healing. So for example, I've had issues in the past with eating where I'd overeat and it was often unconscious, so I'd almost go into another zone, overeat, and then I'd come back and then I'd be like, oh, what have I just done? I've just eaten way more than I needed to. But by becoming conscious of the trigger, maybe where that started, maybe it can be not wanting to feel emotion is a common one. So maybe when you start to feel a difficult emotion, and difficult could be anything. Some people, I mean, when I say difficult, it might make you think of things like sadness or grief or anger, but it could be anything. You know, happiness could be a trigger. If you've been trained or brought up not to express happiness, that is then a difficult emotion for you. So everybody's difficult emotions can be different. So it could be that a difficult emotion causes you then to unconsciously go and eat or do whatever your addiction is. So we need to become conscious of what the trigger is so that we can work with that. That's the underlying source of the addiction. So the first step is to notice every time that happens. It can be done, ideally you do it as it's happening so that you can then change the behaviour and intervene and choose not to practice overeating or whatever it is. But maybe it could be done in retrospect. So once you've maybe practiced that behaviour, maybe after I'd overeaten, I could then think, oh, actually, what was it that triggered that? Was it something that was said to me? Was it a situation? Was it something in my environment? And then as you reflect on that and become more aware of it, you can then bring that back to actually the moment that you want to do that behaviour that's undesirable. You can get it to the point that you're actually conscious of it at the time, and that's when you get the choice. That's when you have a power, and that's the powerful moment where you choose, am I going to do this or am I going to choose something different? And that's not to say that in the beginning you will always choose not to go down that path of repeating the addictive behaviour, but you've then made a conscious choice and you've created a pause in which you are conscious and can choose from that place of consciousness.